be attached to her or the ideas, and that your spirituality was for you to seek. However, Doreen, people got very attached to. And what Louise, the gift she bought was the idea of bringing spirituality to the masses in a palatable way. She was really amazing and doing fantastic work in the 80s. I'll talk a tiny bit about her. She worked with gay men that were recently diagnosed with HIV, and nobody wanted to touch them or deal with them, and she would teach them about the thought forms and patterns that had been part of why they felt like they weren't good enough, because that was what the collective consciousness of society was. And she went on to just usher in Wayne Dyer and all of these other people. I mean, I could go on and name people for it. We could do a whole show about Louise Hay, but what she did was she made it possible for Doreen Virtue as well. Now, I'm not going to give you the whole bio of Doreen. Let's just say if you do a Google search, you'll find tons of stuff. But she is probably, arguably, the angel lady, like I said. She's highly influenced a lot of people, and she recently denounced these cards, and like I said, it caused these shockwaves. And she said she saw Jesus. She said she had a Jesus encounter and whatever else. Now, my theories are that there's some fear around it. She's also going through her second Saturn return of sorts. And so there's a lot going on. I also took a look at her chart, and I realized that this was exactly the place that she needed to be. But among all of these thought pieces and all of these articles, I realized this. I found a guru in that. I found a lovely lady on YouTube, and she said one of the best things that I'd heard. And she said, Doreen is human. After I went through my anger and how dare she? This is the work I do. A lot of people do this work for a living because Doreen empowered them. Does that mean that what she empowered you to do was invalid? I don't think so. Does it mean that everything she did was right? I don't think so. And I'll give you an example of that. She sent me a free meditation because I had purchased some of her books. She had written a book called Earth Angels, which is essentially about dealing with what the phenomenon of the light worker not having healthy boundaries. And so a few years ago, I was doing some work with that for myself. Healthy boundaries, figuring out where I end and my client begins. And so I was reading this book, very helpful. She has a background. She's a doctor. She has a doctorate in psychology, I believe. So I thought, okay, and I'm a self-help lover, so I was reading this book. And because of it, I got a free little download and email about a meditation with one of her partners, James Van Praagh. Now, if you've heard of him, he's a medium, and he also is affiliated with Hay House. And so he was leading it, and she said, hey, I'd love for you to listen to this. This is for creatives and spiritual creatives. I said, well, that's me. And I plugged in my earbuds, and I sat in my favorite meditation chair in my home, and I got all ready, and the music turned, and the beta waves were coming in, and I lulled into this very highly suggestible state. And everything he was saying for the first 8 minutes was great. Lovely, peaceful, picture yourself here, standard meditation fare. And then he said, now I want you to welcome in all of the guides and ascended masters and entities that are here to help you with the next level of your life. And I can't tell you how quickly I ripped those earbuds out of my ear, because my Christian background and my own spirit discerned, what? It was like a record scratch. No, ma'am. I am not, no ma'am, no sir, no entity, no thank you. I did not want to invite anything in. And while I work with angels and I see the evidence of them in my life daily, even as I was finishing up writing this, I was getting angel numbers and confirmation about what I needed to do in my path. Maybe I'll share that angel number with you at the end of the show. But I realized that, and I felt anger, let me be honest, because I have the spirit of discernment, and a lot of people do. But people that are new to this version of spirituality may not have thought that was a strange thing to invite entities. And I thought, what entities? What ascended masters? Who comes up with these names? Where are they coming from? While we talk about angels, I always try to be realistic about it and tell you guys, we give angels names and we assign he or she. That's our junk. That's our man-made stuff. That's not the reality of what I think angels are. I think angels are energy forms and spiritual beings. I do not at all think that they have blonde flowing hair or black afros or any of that. I don't think that they are a color or a race. I think that's what we do to comfort ourselves. So when you're telling me that you have a deck of Ascended Masters during Virtue, I'm like, well, where, Harpo? Where did these Ascended Masters come from? Houseway, as it is said lately. Where did they come from? What are these people's names? Did you make these up? And some of it felt contrived. Does that mean that everything that Doreen put out was to be abolished, even though she's now abolishing it herself and denouncing it? No, because she did have some really interesting truths, and she did lead people. But in the wanting to be led, she was also leading people into that, this meditation from her friend that was a free gift that was absolutely incongruent with, I think, truth for me. Maybe for somebody else it was lovely, but for me it made me angry, like I said, because I thought someone else may not. And I called my best friend and I said, girl, did you get that free meditation? If you did, do not listen to it because I'm very concerned. And I said, or do listen to it. Tell me what you think. And she went in and she was like, I felt creeped out immediately. We both were in agreement, and that happens to be a place we can be in, but I'm just saying to you guys, it bothered me for other people. I thought, where are you leading these people? Where are you leading them? They might not know to stop this in their tracks. Now, because of my background with the cults and things of that nature, I am very aware of leading. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't like someone and someone can't be a guru for me and I can't get caught up, because I do. But it's something that I, like I said with that book I was reading of hers, strive to really keep clear. With my clients, when they start getting dependent on me, I will tell them, I so appreciate you, and I love you, but you need to be thinking about this for yourself, and you have free will. No one man has all the answers. No one man can predict your entire future. We get hits. We are empaths. We are energy workers. We're intuitive. I will never detract from the gifts that I know I have and many in my community have. But what I will say is that there can be unhealthy dependencies for people that want to be led. I've had clients that have been swindled out of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars from shamans and gurus, and they're predatory. It's just like a loan shark. They're predatory. They want to pay their bills. And I've had clients say, why are you telling me not to call you? I don't mind, I don't mind what you're charging. I think you should charge more. I've had all those things said to me. And if I talk to a client too many times in a week, I give them a reality check. There is no information that I'm giving you right now. Right now what you're wanting is a friend and a counselor, and you're willing to pay for my time, and that's lovely, and I appreciate you. But I want you to be healthy more than I want you to pay my bills. That is so important to me to be integral, because it's very easy to get caught up in the hype of a Doreen Virtue and believe your own hype. It's very easy for you to think that you have all the answers, but you don't. And if someone starts to believe in you in that way, like we did believe in Doreen, and I have believed in people myself, it's very easy for you to be led astray while they're trying to initiate you to your next level. So I struggled with that for the past few weeks, and I wanted to bring that to you because I don't discredit everything Doreen does. I think she's coming from a place of fear. Personally, that's my take on it. And I think she may even shift back before she leaves this earth. But I think at this second Saturn return for her, she's dealing with feeling maybe I've led people astray, and she wants to do a hard course correction. And so she's doing that and denouncing some of the stuff that I knew didn't resonate for me anyway. Those Ascended MasterCards, various other things like that. I think that we all get to have that moment. And the YouTuber that I was mentioning, she said something here that I want to share with you, and I thought it was so true. She said, I think Doreen got tired. Because as a light worker, people come to you and they want answers, and Doreen gave readings, and she gave information, and she gave messages. She talked to angels, and that was her thing. And I think she got tired of taking care of everybody. And in the church, there's a patriarchy established and a hierarchy established where you cast your cares instead of people casting their cares to you. People were treating Doreen like a god. I have done it with readers that I have loved in the community and had hard lessons about it when they shifted to the left or the right in their spiritual path. One comes to mind in particular. And while I won't share her name, I will share that she was the best reader in our little metaphysical community. And she didn't use cards. She was all under the Holy Spirit and Christianity. But she was at all of the psychic fairs I was at, and I wanted to be her. And we befriended one another and had a nice friendship. And then she got really involved in a super churchy church and rebuked me. And I was shocked because I had, gotten into this as a fledgling young spring chicken many, many, many years ago, and she was like the rock star, okay? And we were like great friends and had a lot of fun together. But she came to a point in the past couple of years where she rebuked me. It was a strange thing that happened because I had a little shop at the time, and I was doing readings out of the shop, and she normally would come and bless the shop. She wouldn't come and bless, and I just noticed a lot of distancing. But then she would send me all of her clients that she used to read for, because she couldn't do it anymore, but she'd send them to me, but she'd rebuked me. It was very confusing, and that's when I know something's coming from fear. She was dealing with her own shift and change, and it broke my heart because I loved her dearly. We never had an issue. She was an older lady, never had a problem. But what I realized is that she had shifted, and I was attached to her, and I had followed her like a guru. So when she said to me, "You're wrong, and you need to stop," I thought, no, not you. Not you. Because we used to laugh and giggle and have inside jokes, and really, she could see that I was growing, and she was like, you're next, and you're coming up, and this is happening for you. She'd do predictions for me, and it was lovely. But she shifted because she needed something else, and I had to relearn the lesson that I had learned many years before while dealing with the situation in the cult, that you cannot be attached to the person, be attached to the lesson. Was she a guru for me in the moment? Yes, she was. She taught me how to be a better reader. She taught me how to not use cards if need be. She taught me how to really rely on my intuition. She taught me so many invaluable lessons that make me the person today that I am. But I couldn't hang on to the hem of her dress and follow her around forever. She even tried to get me to come to her church and say I should be part of the church, and God had told her that. But what I knew it was fear. She wanted me as her friend to be attached with her. But she didn't want me to be attached to my own spiritual truth. She wanted me to divorce my spiritual truths in order to maintain the friendship, and I wasn't willing to do it, and so we had to part ways. I love her, and it broke my heart, but I realized that she was still a teacher. Doesn't mean she was any less important. I want to talk about attachment from another mini guru that I had in my life named Sonia Choquette, also very popular. You can find her through Hay House as well and various things. She is a psychic and an intuitive. And I have a friend that loves her and was always recommending, oh, you should follow Sonia. Oh, get her book. She's wonderful. But I knew that my level of what I did wasn't where Sonia's was. And it wasn't to say, I'm any better or worse than her. I'm just saying that she has a very specific ministry, if you will, for getting people initiated into understanding how to use their intuition. And I knew that I had grown past that. So it was a very, she gets people there, and then she can take you to another level, and she breaks down those walls if you have fear about your psychic intuition and all of that. So I just thought, I like Sonia, but it's not meaty enough for me, is what I felt. But one day I was watching something that she did, and she talked about the connection we make as light workers, and that people often, when they love you in human form, want to sexually engage with you, or they want to cross boundaries. Because a few years ago I told you I was doing a lot of boundary work, trying to figure out how to be a better reader. And it was the best lesson she ever taught me. And it made so much sense and shone light on some of the relationships that I had, where people would get really attached to me, and I didn't understand it, and they'd want to cross boundaries, whether I ever crossed them or not. And sometimes I did, because #human. But I realized that it was never about me and them being so in love with me or me being so in love with them. It was about wanting to have the energy of what they felt was their guru, or me wanting the energy of what I felt was my guru. In the similar way, though it was a very non-sexual with this friend I just mentioned before that was the great reader, she wanted us to stay friends. But we were going on divergent paths, and she needed me to divorce my own spiritual beliefs to stay her friend. What Sonia Choquette taught me in that moment is that attachment to a guru or a person, in either direction that it goes, is about spiritual recognition and about needing a lesson taught in that moment of your life, more than it's about sexual interest or friendship interest or however it's playing itself out. It's about you recognizing one another, and because the only language we speak in human is communication of physicality, sometimes we misconstrue it. Now, does that mean that I'm going to follow Sonia around and become a sycophant and a fan and be at every conference she does and